Hey guys, it's Mary Jo from Mary Jo's Creations. Welcome back to my channel. How's everybody doing? Oh, my head hurts. I'm sorry, my hair looks like a mess, but I need to take it down because it's starting to give me a headache. And my hair is just a disaster right now. But anyway, how is everybody doing? I hope y'all are having a great day. We are expecting some snow. Yesterday, I was going to make a video so that I could put it up for yesterday, but life happens, right? I was out of the house, and although I did have some yarn with me, of course I did, because, it's me. I don't leave the house without yarn. My hair is just a disaster. But anyway, I don't leave the house without yarn. So I was working on a Valentine's Day project yesterday when I was out of the house, and right now I am working on my birthday / Valentine's Day sweater, which I think I'm going to call my Amethyst sweater, and it's just purples and pinks. My birthday is right before Valentine's Day, so my favorite color is purple. So I thought I'd throw a little pink in there, and then I can use it for both days. So I have a clip of, I know you saw a previous video of me working on the sweater. Well, I ended up taking the whole thing apart. I did not like the way it was sitting. I did not like the way it was fitting. I did not like the way that it was really like Ving in the front, but it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I decided to take it all apart and doing it this way. And when I took it all apart, I just took it all apart, didn't wind it, didn't roll it up in a ball, and it is a hot mess. It looked like purple and pink spaghetti all over my table, and it was really, really high. But I had already worked through it, and I'm going to insert a clip here to show you how bad it was. Okay, so this is what it's looking like. I took it all apart. Actually, I already started putting it together right here. But I thought I would give you a shot. It looks like spaghetti, and there's a lot here. That's how much I had of the sweater done, and I decided to take it all apart because I did not like the way it was looking. And again, it was a lot worse than what it looks like right now, even though it looks so bad. But again, like, there's a lot here. And I just decided to take it apart. And I'll show you what it looks like now so far. Okay, so now this is what it's looking like. And this is the yoke. Now, again, one, I'm a big girl. I'm very top heavy. So even though, and I have been losing a little bit of weight, but anyway, even though, I'm not that big down here, I am very big up here. And I don't like anything on my neck. So I tend to make them a little bit bigger than what it should be. Now, I realized that the one I was, the sweater I took apart, it was a lot wider. And I didn't realize it until I was working it. And when I looked, I chained the same amount as I did that big, huge, pink, oversized sweater. And that was way too much. That was probably the biggest reason that it wasn't coming out the way I wanted it to. Number two, I did put that V in the middle, which I kind of liked, but at the same, like, I'm going to try and do that with panels, because doing it in the raglan style, the back was coming out a lot shorter than the front, and I didn't like that. But you don't know until you try, right? So in a situation like that, I don't mind scrapping in frogging it, because it's a learning process. I'm not going by a pattern. I am essentially creating a pattern, which I have it all written here. These are how I do my notes. And so, like, I start here, and this is like the top of the sweater, and then I went here, and these are like little coordinating notes that go with this. And then what I do is every round I do have like a little chart, like back, side one, because again, it's done in the round. So when I attach it, I actually go from the middle, right? If I can find it. And so the back, and I like doing it this way because it doesn't give, when I tried doing it the other way and starting it from, I guess, like a sleeve, I didn't like the way it was coming out. So when I made my very first sweater, my raglan, I didn't like the way that was coming out, and I ripped it, and I've been doing it this way ever since. So you do, and it doesn't show up as much when you do the granny stitch. It's a little more noticeable, at least to me, when it's like a solid half double or double crochet stitch. But because I'm doing the granny stitch in this one, you really can't tell. I mean, you can, but you can't. And I like doing it this way. So the back is always done in 2 panels for me, in 2 sides. So I do side 1 of the back, then I do a sleeve, then I do the front, then I do the side, the other sleeve, and then I finish the back, right? Or in this instance, I started it. But anyway. And for some reason, and maybe it's because of the clusters, I don't know, because this is the first time I'm ever doing it. But normally, the back count is exactly the same as the front count. In this one, the back is off by 1 cluster, which is okay, because the back, I need more room in the front than I do in the back. So I'm okay with that. And I'm writing it all down now, and that's what I've been working on while I'm home. And I'm hoping to have, by the end of the night, at least the yoke done. Which I think that I can get the yoke done and at least the body of the sweater almost finished. And then all I have to do tomorrow will probably be the sleeves. So I think we're good. And I don't know if I finished what I was saying. In the other ones, oh God, and it just left that fast. I'm writing everything down. You know what? I hate this when I have a thought in my head and I try to get it out and I don't get it out fast enough, and then I lose what I was thinking. But anyway, I had noticed that I had chained the same as the baggy sweater. And if you remember, I had also made another one, because normally when I create something and I design something, I'll end up making it a few times before I get set on the exact pattern, which there's some that I've done it and some that I have to do it again. So this raglan is a little bit different than my last raglan because it's not a solid stitch. It's a granny stitch. So I noticed it is coming out a little bit different. But when I did my second raglan, I went down and it was still a little too tight for my neck. And I was going to give up on making raglans, right? Because the whole point of a raglan is that it's top down and you do it all in one way, but that always gives you a high collar. And honestly, I don't like wearing anything that's above my collarbone. I feel like I'm being choked. So this time what I did was, when I realized that I had made the same stitch count as the first one, and I didn't want to go down to the stitch count of the second one, so I kind of went in the middle. And the first one, I had chained 103, I believe, or 102, something like that. And when I made my second raglan, which is that solid color mauve one, which fits me nice, but still, it came out a little too tight, and sometimes, like, it rides up, and I'm always constantly going like this because I feel like I'm being choked. So what I ended up deciding on was doing it in the middle. So for this sweater, I believe that I chained 90 something. I'll look on just a minute. And we're going to see how it comes out. Now, if you've ever crocheted a sweater before, you'll know that until it's fully done, you can get an idea of how it's going to look, but you can never really know exactly how it's going to sit and how it's going to fit until the whole thing is done, because the body weighs it down, the sleeves weigh it down, and it has the complete fit. And sometimes you think that it's not going to look right, and it's not going to come out right, and you sometimes just have to what's that called, believe in the process, right? And remember that the more you work it and the closer it gets to its final size, it will look different than from when you put it on, when, you're trying to check the yoke and see, how far you have to go down to cut off to the sleeves. Now, I do my sleeves a little bit different. I know that a lot of people, they chain for the sleeves and stuff like that. I don't tend to do that because I do tend to go a lot farther down for my sleeves. And that's just because I don't like anything touching my armpits. I know I'm very strange. That's okay. And so this one might come out a little bit different, which I hope is a good thing. And if it does, I might release this pattern and make one to put up on my website. Maybe in I don't know if I would have time to do one for strictly Valentine's Day. But we'll check that out, maybe. Or if not, then I can do one in, different shades of green and make one for St. Patty's Day. I'm not sure, because last year for St. Patty's Day, I made a tank top. And yeah, it was too cold to wear that. Although I did try to make a little shrug, and I don't really like the way the shrug came out. But I kind of don't want to take it apart either, because it does look really pretty. So maybe I might make a cardigan to go with the tank top that I made. And that might look nice. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Give me 1 second, because after I hit this point, I do want to count how many I did, because like I said, when I write my patterns, I make sure that for me, because that's how I understand and how I keep track. And what I do is, like I was saying before, there's a side one of the back, side one sleeve, the front, the second sleeve, and then the second side of the back. And then what I do is, in this instance, I count my clusters. So I did the one side, I have to count the front. Now, when I make this little corner, which is the increase, right? And this is what the sleeve will be. I don't count this corner, because I have a little mark for the 2s where I put in the corner. So when I'm counting for the front, I count after the corner all the way down to before the corner. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 clusters. And what you should see on the front and the sleeves, you will increase 1 cluster every round. Now the back is where it gets tricky. The back will, 1 round, because you're turning it as you go. So one side will have less than the other side, and then when you go around again, both sides will have the same amount. So like in the first row that I started with the decreases, right? I mean with the increases, with cutting them off for the sleeves, right? When I started the sleeves, the back side 1 had 4, and side 2 had 5. So when I turned it, I started on side 2, right? And side 2 had 5, but then when we went down, side 1 ended up having 5. So you're going to have 2 different numbers, and then the next round, the same number. And then the next round, 2 different numbers, and then the next round, the same number. And it's always going to be 1 off from the front, if that makes sense to anybody. But I have it written down, and that's just how my neurodivergent brain works. And it works for me, and I'm a very visual person. That's why I do it this way. And so everything is labeled. Now over here, what I'm going to do once I'm done, right, I add up all the clusters, and I'll have a count of exactly how many stitches, not clusters, but stitches, will be in the front and the back and the arms. And that's just how I do it. And if I do decide to put out these patterns, it will be in the way that I do them. And hopefully it might, help somebody who sees or processes, why that word is so hard, I have no idea. For someone who processes things the way I do, it might help you. And if you want to see that, let me know. Now, we got the sweater out of the way. This is what I've been working on since yesterday. And I'm going to keep on working on it because I want it finished hopefully before the weekend. Because I don't want to be rushing on my, before my birthday to get it finished. And the faster I'm done with this, the faster I can get to working on some Valentine's Day items. What is wrong with me today? I have no idea. But anyway, so that's one of the things I wanted to talk about and get it out of the way because I'm working on it. So, before I get into the other things that I wanted to talk about, I wanted you to know what I was doing. Now, see, I finished the back, and the only reason I pulled it up is because I want to do my count. So, this should have the same as 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And this should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 12 and 8. And so now I'm going to turn it over because I always turn my work. But before I start working, I want to see. And trust me, like the collar, see, I don't like that. But again, I won't know until I get it done, right? Because again, the weight of the yarn will bring it down. And I do want it off the shoulder because really, when it comes to raglans, the only way it's not from what I have done, and I've done a few of these, the only way it's not going to really ride up to your neck, your collarbone, is if it's like off the shoulder. And because I'm so top heavy, I don't think raglans are good for me, but we're going to keep going. I much rather do panels simply because I can shape the top, right? Or like granny squares, like my granny square sweater, which I have to redo because, and I'm going to do the second one different than the first one I did. But again, we'll get into that. But I think I need to go down a little bit more before I attach the arms. And here, see, normally I number my rows because then when I break off to do the body and the sleeves, that's going to be a completely different chart, right? And we do like sections for each one. So over here, I have down to 18 rounds, and that includes from the top, right? So, it's going to keep going. It's not going to be like numbered differently. It's numbered from round 1 is the very first row of single crochets, and it just keeps going down. And then even the body will be continuation. The sleeves are going to be a different story. But I wrote here, if you can see, 18. So I think 18 rounds of the yoke, which that's what I'm going to write up here, yoke. I think 18 rounds is going to be enough. That's why I only put 18. And then when I start the body, I'll continue, but I'll mark it off as the body. So we have 3 rounds to go. Once I get to round 18, I will see how it fits. And normally I like to put my sleeves to right about where this one is, or maybe a little bit lower, because, ooh, sorry, I do tend to sweat a lot, and that's why I never liked anything that was tight because I do sweat a lot, I don't like anything right close to my armpits. So my sweaters are always down. And that's why I wanted to make sweaters for myself, because it's so hard to find sweaters that are made like that. That's why I almost never wore sweaters. I never really liked sweaters. Now that I have the ability to make them for myself, I wanted to try and do it my way. And we'll see. Again, I just started. Like, dude, I've only been making clothes for like a year. So we have a lot more to try, which we are definitely going to go for this year. And, you know, it's going to be awesome, I think. There's so much more that I want to try, and I've become absolutely also obsessed, if you haven't noticed, with granny squares. And that's going to be my next thing that I might talk about. Maybe. Or maybe no, I'll save the Pico card for last. But, hold on. It's a little too loose. Now, real quick, before I go into that, let me show you here. When I do turn my work, and I do my, granny stitch and granny squares different than anyone I've ever seen. Because it just works for me. Every time I tried to do it the way I saw it, it never worked for me. So I figured out a way, and this is how I like to do them. This is the only way I do them. So when I finish my cluster, right, and oh, hold on, and I slip stitch it to the last cluster, right? This was the last one I did, so I slip stitched it to the first one, right? When I do that, the yarn is right here. And that's another reason why I like to turn my work. One, I like to turn my work because I do like the way it looks when I turn my work. Number two, I think it goes off center when you just keep going in the round. Maybe it's because I never did it too much, but even with this one here, you can visibly see where the seam was because I didn't turn this, right? So that's another reason. So one is because I just love the way the look of it when you turn your work. It looks different. At least to me, it looks different, and I like that look. Number two, I think it hides the seam better. Again, only my personal opinion. Number three, it's much easier for me, the way I do it, than to have to slip stitch across, which I don't like the way that looks, and it's unnecessary. For me, anyway. So, what I like to do is, when I slip stitch it into the first stitch, I turn my work. And when you turn your work, you're directly into a cluster. Into a space, I mean. So I do a single crochet, and then I do a stacked single. See how that looks? I do a stacked single, and it looks like a double. It might be a little bit thicker, but I don't care. I like the way it looks. And then I go right into my cluster. And then I just keep going. And to me, that is so much easier. But again, that's just me, and I like the way it looks. And that's how I do my granny clusters and my granny squares and everything. Because first I learned on a granny square. I didn't think, I like to put stitch markers because, again, the weight, it closes the stitch, and so, like, it's hard sometimes to get it in there. So if you just put a stitch marker with a little bit of weight on it, I made that, by the way, when you go back around, the stitch won't be so tight, and it'll be easier for you to put your hook inside. Just a little trick that I've used. And I didn't even think you could use the granny stitch for anything other than a granny square when I first started. But now, like, the granny stitch is one of my favorite stitches. Especially when you want to make something that's airy, right? Because you want to be warm, but some of us, like for me, I do get very hot, very fast. Always have. I was told it's because of, you know, when my thyroids are working right, I just tend to get hot all the time. But anyway, I like things that breathe. So if I'm going to wear a sweater, it's still going to be warm, but you're not going to feel, you don't overheat, or at least I don't. And you don't really feel the cold. I mean, obviously you can't wear that outside when it's 30 degrees. But if it's like 50, 60 degrees outside and you just want a little sweater, if you're like me and you overheat, you know, 60 degrees is not that cold for you. And sometimes you don't want a heavy coat, you just want a sweater or a cardigan to put on because it is a little chilly. So I love the granny stitch for that. That's why I'm also obsessed with the hexie cardigans, which is another one I'm going to make for Valentine's Day in pinks. But first I'm working on something else. So that brings me to my next thing to talk about. Girl, I started a granny square. Because, of course, I did. Because apparently this is, you know, the year of the granny square. I am absolutely obsessed with making granny squares. Now, what I haven't done yet, which will be done, most likely it'll be like a spring or an Easter sweater. I do want to try to figure out how to make a sunflower squares. And I want to make a cardigan with squares. And it's probably going to be like the one I'm making right now. But the one I'm making right now is, you know, the way I like to make them, where the yarn just goes where the yarn goes. Because, of course, it does. But I want to, my vision is kind of like making a giant granny square for the back. And then having like 3 for the fronts. 3 for each side. And then it's just going to be the granny stitch going down the arms. I don't think I want to make granny squares for the sleeves. I have a vision in my head, and I will show you. Give me 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we're not done yet. All right, so I will show you a sneak peek. I have 3 different shades of pink, and I threw some red in there. And this is what I have so far. And I'm going to make this one here giant so it fits my back, right? And I want it to probably like from this shoulder to this shoulder, probably here. We're not there yet. We're close. And I think I'm on round 10. So golden number 18, I think, should be big enough, but we are going to see. I'm going to do 8 more rounds on this one, maybe in a little while. Once I get something done on this, my goal today, I have 2 goals for today. One is to work on this, even if it's just a couple of rounds, which, you know, it doesn't take long. And I'm about to switch colors. Yes. So I'm about to go into this hot pink right here. And then I'm going to go back into this lighter pink. And then back into the red. And like I said, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 rounds. So the next one is going to be 2 rounds of red, 2 rounds of hot pink, 2 rounds of this pink, and that'll be, no, so we only need 8 rounds. So it's going to end on the red. And we're going to see how that looks. And my goal for today is hopefully to have this back square done. Because I can't do any of this. I mean, I could start the smaller squares if I want, but I won't know exactly what size to make the front squares until I have the back square done, because I need to line them up and make sure I have the same amount, because they're going to be crocheted together, right? I'm going to do the join as you go method, which is right now my preferred method. I've already sewn them together. I've done projects where I've sewn them together. I've done projects where I've single crocheted them together and slip stitched them together. And honestly, for like the hexies, blankets, and now a cardigan, when it comes to wearables or blankets, I like the join as you go method, because it does help give it a little more, it's not as tight as when you sew it together or crochet it together like in a single crochet or slip stitch, in my opinion. Only my opinion. You are allowed to have whatever opinion you want, because that's the joy of it, right? Not everybody feels the same way, and that's why there's so many techniques, because one works for one and one works for the other. If what you do works for you, awesome. If you want to try what I do, awesome. Maybe that'll help you. That's one of the points of this channel. For me to give you what helps me, and hopefully that'll help you. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. Maybe, hopefully I'm entertaining and you like watching the hot mess that I am. But anyway, this is, if I can have the square to this done by the end of the night, I will be very happy. But my first goal is to have all the yarn barf that you just saw. Well, not yarn barf. I'm going to call it yarn spaghetti. The yarn that I took apart. Because when I tell you I had like the body down to here, I'm not kidding. I don't know what I showed off on the last video, but by the time I realized that I wanted to frog it, I had the sleeves all cut off and the body was probably down to here. So it's a lot of yarn. My goal is to have all that yarn worked up before the end of the night. And that is feasible. I can do that as long as I don't have any really time-consuming disruptions. Because I still have things that I need to do around the house, like, you know, put away my dishes, wash the dishes, make something to eat. That would be kind of important, seeing as that I haven't eaten all day yet. Granted, it is only 11:40 in the morning, but I do need to eat at least, you know, something small in the near future. this video, today is Saturday, the 22nd, I think. I'm not sure. I'll check on that and I'll let you know in a minute. It's in neither of the notebooks. I have notebooks all around me. But anyway, and my calendar is over there. But anyway, it is Saturday. And again, we are getting a snowstorm. I should walk to my, little supermarket that's over here because there are a few things that I don't have and that I really should get, like milk and bread and coffee. But it is fucking freezing outside and I don't want to walk. So that's the only thing that might take up some of my time. And by time, I mean what? Like at the most 45 minutes, an hour for me to walk there and, get what I need real quick and walk back. So, and make something to eat. I mean, everything that I have to do shouldn't take me that long where I can't get a good chunk of this sweater done today. And get that square, at least that square, finished today. Now, if anything comes up where I have to leave the house for an extended period of time, which is always a possibility, then, I will take the square with me because I can put I did that yesterday. I can put all 4 skeins in this bag and just stand them up, right? And work right out of the bag. Because I got a lot of that square done yesterday, at least 4 or 5 rounds when I was out of the house. And that's why I like to have projects like that. That's another reason why I always have a couple of projects going, because I would have taken this sweater if it was on the skeins, but you saw the mess, right? I'm not putting that in a bag. I'm not moving it off of this table. It's just not going to happen. It needs to be worked up just the way it is. It's too much of a mess. It's all attached because, I already attached the colors. When I took it apart, if you've been here long enough, that I tie my yarn. I make sure that it's nice and secure, and I tie on my yarn. I want as least ends as possible to sew. So I tie my yarn together. And when I do that, and I took it apart, it's all one giant strand, right? Regardless of the different colors. And that's another interesting thing right now, is because number one, I did not line up the colors. I never do. I like it when they fade and go into the next color. That's just my personal preference, just like I do my granny squares. If you noticed, I like that. And these are for me, right? When I start making them, I always make it for me to wear, because I'm not going to give or potentially sell something to someone that, is the first time I make it, because there's always little kinks in it, right? So I always make it for myself. But if you notice, it's upside down. Hold on. If you notice, like, you'll have clusters of color in one place and not in another. And I love that. I love the way this looks. I love that it's off center and that it's not every round is the same. And that's just my personal preference when I'm making stuff for me. And this sweater, I did the same way. But because the front was so much bigger than the back, the colors are ending up in different places. And that's another interesting, like, for me, thing to see, because now that I'm working it back up, the pink is not going to fall where it fell the way I was doing it. It's going to fall somewhere else. And we're not even at the pink yet. We are still on this purple, and it's going down a lot farther than the last one because it's less stitches, right? I started off with 103, I think, in the last one, and this one is, I think, 102. So it's going to be really cool to see where the different colors land. And again, my idea for that Valentine's Day cardigan is to, again, do one giant square in the back and I don't know, 3 or 4. It depends on how big the square is. In the front. And then the sleeves, I'm just going to do a simple granny stitch for the sleeves. I'm not going to do granny squares for the sleeves because that's just the vision I have in my head. Maybe one day down the line, I'll do another granny square sweater like that, and it'll be, you know, different. There we go. And what I also want to do, if you know me, is I like to, especially when it's granny squares or hexies, I always like to do at least 2 rows of granny stitch, at the very least, all the way around. Because, you know, once it's connected, you can tell the difference. And if you don't, in my opinion, when I do the 2 rounds, a minimum of granny stitch all the way around, it makes it look more cohesive, and you can't really tell where it was joined and stuff like that. So I always do what I like to call my outline, which I do for my cardigans and my anything that has a granny square. My cardigans, my sweaters, because I have made a few granny square sweaters, or attempted to anyway. One came out a tank top and the other one came out more of a dress, and then another one actually came out a sweater. But anyway, let me do my count. Okay, so for my sleeve it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yes, 13. That's what it's supposed to be. And then the front, hold on, mark the 2, 2, 2, 2. I like to do that so I know what row I'm on. And the front is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And that's another reason why I like to count them when I'm done with the row, because I just caught 2 clusters with 2 double crochets. So we're going to redo those. Because if I would have gone all the way around, I would have probably left it, to be honest with you. Because again, this is for me. So, you know, little mistakes like that, I don't mind. Like if it's 2 clusters or 4 clusters. It really won't change my stitch count in the end because it's in the center of the garment. And we're doing clusters. So the clusters themselves didn't change. I mean, the count, the count wasn't affected. The amount of clusters didn't change. It was just what was in the clusters, but if it's not towards the end, it really doesn't matter, right? So it only matters when you're on your last row and you have to go into every single stitch. So I did the corner, and now we're going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yes, we're right on track. And that's what we're just going to do the rest of the day. And like I said, my goal for today is to... this is such a mess. It's caught on something. But the mess has gone down. So, you know, it is going down. That's where it is. So I'm going to go work on this a little bit more. Actually, I'm going to take a break. Then I'm going to come and work on this a little bit more. And when I come back, we will talk about the surprise I mentioned in the other video, which is my Pico card. I finally got one. Here, I'll show you a blank one. My friend printed it out for me. That's what it's going to look like. And again, you can go on Miss Megan Made Me, and she will have it linked down below. And you can just print it out and join us. Because I think this is a great idea. I really do. And I love her. She's just wonderful. So I am going to show you what's on my Pico card when I come back. And also discuss, you know, some of the things that aren't on here because there's no more room. So she has this, Megan has this little rule that she made for herself that if she notices that there's something on here that she's not going to do or have time to do it, she can swap it out for something else. And at first I didn't think I was going to have enough to fill the squares. And then I did. And then I thought of other things, because of course I did. Because apparently, you know, 5 by 5, so 25 things. 5 times 5 is 25. So 25 things apparently is not enough for me to do this. 25 goals is not enough, you know? Oh. And it'll also, some of the things that, I have a list here of things that I want to talk about. And also the 2 things, well, the 2 things I have here kind of coincide with the Pico card, so we'll go over all of them. But I am extremely excited to see what's going to come next. And I realize that there are a lot of blankets, not only on the card, but ideas that I want to make. And there's going to be a lot of blankets in my future, because apparently now I am completely and totally obsessed with granny squares and blankets. There are no words. But I'm going to take a break. For you, it'll be very quick. Just a second. But I need to eat something, and my legs are actually starting to go numb. And when I look up, I see that my timer is at 53 minutes. So that could explain why. But I'm going to take a break, and I'll be back in just a second, guys. Okay. Hey guys, I just started doing a little more needles all over the place. And I only did that much, right? And I'm starting the pink now. And I have quite a bit of pink, and then more purple, and then more pink. I have a feeling that, and I still haven't eaten yet, so I don't know why I sat back down here and picked up the yarn. I took a little break, and then I was like, let me just try to finish, you know, 2 more rows before I take a break to eat, because that, I think, is all I have left before I start the yoke. I mean, before I start the body. So I think I only have like 2 more rows left of the yoke. And I don't know. I obviously, like, I want to take a much longer break than just, I think it's been like less than half an hour or whatever. But I really do want to, I'll feel much better and more comfortable with going in and making me something to eat and, you know, taking a bigger break if I have the yoke finished and the sleeves, you know, the sleeve portion done, tied off, like connected, that's the word I was looking for. The sleeves connected. And if I have that, I'll feel much more comfortable, because I'll know that all I have to do is the body. Because right now, for me, personally, the yoke is like the part that worries me the most. Because it's, you know, I don't know exactly right now when I'm creating something. I don't know how many rows it's going to take me, how many rounds it's going to take me to finish the yoke, right? And then connect the sleeves to just work on the body. And that's the most important part for me. Once I have that done, everything else is, you know, way easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this back is 10. And it just makes it me feel a little more comfortable if I have the once I connect it, because then I know all I have to do is the rest of the body and the sleeves. And the body is very, you know, like easy, because I don't have to count. I don't have to do any kind of, you know, decrease. Once that portion is connected and I'm just working on the body, I know I should be able to get that done very quickly. Probably within one sitting, which is normally, what, an hour and a half at the most. And I think I could get the body done by then. So if I can, and it's pretty early. It's, I think, I don't know. I can't see. I'm half blind. This is a jumbled mess. It's, I think, like 1 something, so it's very early still. Oh, and by the way, I think I said, like, that it was the 22nd. Dude, it's the 24th. 24th, I think? I'm lost. But anyway, as soon as I can get the sleeves connected, and all I have to do is work on the body and not have to pay attention or count or anything like that, it's just going to go so much easier. And I think that, like, I can get these 2 rounds done fairly quickly. And, you know, I'm just going to sit here for a little while and do this. And if I can't, then I'll take a break. But I'm going to work on this just for a few minutes. I wanted to show you the color change. That's why I came on. And like I said, I'm going to just work on this real quick for a few minutes because I could tell I'm still not okay. And I need to learn to give myself bigger breaks than what I want to. Because unfortunately, it just is what it is, right? But I did want to show you the color change. And when I come back on, we will end the video with, I'll show you what progress I have on it. And we'll talk about the Pico card. And while we work on this, and then we'll end the video. But let me work on this real quick and get a little bit done. Yeah, see, my hands like don't want to work. And I might have to take a bigger break than what I wanted to. Before I get to row 18. And again, like, I only have one more round to go. This is round 17, and I'm halfway through the round, right? I just did a sleeve, which should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And again, like, this is the hardest part when I'm creating something, right? It takes longer because I have to write it down. That's why I never tie myself doing the first one, because it's always going to take longer. Once I have it all the notes written down, and I go to do it a second time, it is definitely going to be much faster, because I already know what I, have to have, and it'll just blaze through, because I really won't have to count. Like, the only reason I'm counting is so I know exactly what I'm doing. But to be honest with you, like, it's not that hard. It's very simple, especially with the clusters. It's like, you really can't mess up, because you're going right into the chain space and you know exactly where you're going, at least for me. When you're doing in every stitch, like the half double crochet or a double crochet, like my first one is, then yeah, you kind of need to count, because you got to make sure you don't skip any stitches, because that has happened to me before. But working in granny clusters for me is a very, if I want to make something very quick and have it come out beautiful and work up rather quickly, the granny stitch is the way to go. This is all just so tangled. Okay. I'm going to have to do that. But, and, that's why I love this stitch, because it's just so mindless. And right now, especially, like, everything that's going on with me at the moment, it's just so much easier to just, do a project with the granny stitch. And, I don't have to think about it too much. I don't have to really, do much. It's pretty much muscle memory at this point. And since you're going into the chain spaces and not into the actual stitch itself, it just makes it a lot easier to do, and it works up, in my opinion, a lot faster. So if you don't mind the little gaps like I don't mind for certain things, obviously if you want a warmer sweater, but in my opinion, there's enough room to have as many kinds of sweaters as you want. You should always have a sweater that's a little more open, a sweater that's a little more closed. So, you know, we are going to untangle this yarn and see, like, it's more than halfway. And there we go, going to finish this up, and I'll be back. Hey guys, I'm going to end this video here. I just finished editing. I just finished editing it. It is way too long to put all the footage that I have from this sweater into this video. So I will be splitting it into two. The sweater is almost done. I have one sleeve, like maybe half of the sleeve done already. So I just have to do half a sleeve and the sweater is complete. I will be, I unfortunately didn't get to film making the last sleeve because I was editing the video. So, you know, I finished one sleeve and I started on the second sleeve while I was editing this portion. And I'm going to, like I said, end it here. I will film doing the finishing touches on the sweater, and that will be in a second video. Now, you can decide. You can put it down in the comment section. Let me know. Do you want part 2 to come out tomorrow, or do you want part 2 to come out on Wednesday? It is Monday, so yesterday's footage will all be, you know, in the last video. And let me know what you would like to see. Would you like to see me working on the cardigan tomorrow, which I gave you a sneak peek in the video? Or would you like to see the finished footage of the sweater? Because as soon as I'm done with this, which will be very soon, I will be working on that, and I will start filming that. So that is also going to probably be 2 parts. But you let me know. Do you want to see it tomorrow? Or do you want to see it Wednesday? But that is where I'm going to leave it off here. You guys are awesome. I hope you watched the video till the end. Let me know. Let me know down in the comment section what you would like. And you can always put a little, you know, purple heart or snowflake or whatever you want. Just, you know, to let me know that you watched the whole video. And if you like the video, please hit that like button. If you, wow. If you like the video, please hit that like button. And if you really like me, you can hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell, and it'll let you know when I'm on, so you can watch the fabulous mess that I am. And that's it. I will see y'all in the next one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.